Hey guys, Carl from Perfect Misplaced. Today I'm going to be taking a preview look at a prototype copy of Aqua ROVE, one of two of the upcoming new games in the ROVE universe from designers Dustin, Dobson, and Milan, Zivkovic, and publisher Button Shy Games. If you're not familiar with the original ROVE, it's a sort of spatial puzzle when you're manipulating this tableau of cards using different movement rules in order to match certain patterns on mission cards, ultimately sort of telling the story of this cute little rover on Mars, only now that cute little rover is going down below the depths of the sea. Disclaimer, as a preview copy, I was given advanced sort of access to this game from the publisher, but as always, I will do my best to give you my own honest opinion on the game. Let's head down to the table to see how this one plays, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. To set up a game of Aqua ROVE, begin by taking these 6 module cards with this star side sort of uncrossed side face up, give them a shuffle, and then place them out randomly in a 2x3 vertical grid. Next, take the rest of the cards, which are missions on one side and movement cards on the other, giving those a shuffle, and then placing the top card off in the top corner of the play area. This is going to become your mission for the first round, and this will continue to grow vertically now instead of horizontally like in the original ROVE. So I'm going to place it up there so I've got plenty of space for it to move down the screen, setting the rest of the cards down here in the bottom corner as a draw deck. And then finally, drawing a hand of cards based on the difficulty setting that you are aiming for. 5 cards being normal, 4 being hard, and 3 being sort of an extreme difficulty level. I'm pretty good at winning this game on hard, so I'm going to give myself a bit of a challenge on camera. Cross your fingers that it doesn't go horribly wrong, and I am going to play on hard mode. So I'm going to take 4 cards for my hand. And with that, we are all ready to play. And for this playthrough, I'm going to assume that you haven't played the original ROVE, so I will explain exactly how everything works from the beginning. And the way that ROVE is going to work is, or in this case, Aqua ROVE is going to work is, I am trying to manipulate this sort of spatial puzzle, this tableau of modules, so that it fits the mission on my current mission card, in this case, Squeeze. I need to make the white pattern shown here with the 6 cards that I have, making sure that this brain and this sort of tools module are next to each other like that, and the other 4 cards can be in any of those 4 locations around there. And in order to move the cards, if you are familiar with the original ROVE, things have changed quite a bit in this regard. In this game, we are given movement cards, and each of these movement cards is going to dictate the kind of movement we can be using to move the modules around the board. So this one here means it can only move in orthogonal directions 1 space at a time, up to 4 times. I have 4 energy on this card. But this particular movement means as a push movement. So if I move a card that's next to another card, it will push the other card as it moves. This one here is just going to be a single movement for every movement point in any of the 8 directions possible. But this means that I'm only moving 1 space, which means I can never move a card, say for example, from here down, because it would be on top of another card and end its movement there, and that is not possible. So for this movement, we're going to be needing to sort of move around the outside of things. The third possible kind of movement is this one. And it looks similar to the previous one, except that you see here we have arrows. And what this means is for every 1 movement point of energy here, I can move in any of these 8 directions as far as I want to move. And that means that I can also pass over any other modules as I'm doing that. And again, the number printed in the corner of the card is the number of times I can trigger that movement by spending that card. But you will notice at the bottom of every card says, if this, +1 movement. This means that if these 2 particular modules are next to each other or adjacent to each other, and that means orthogonally or diagonally adjacent, I will add +1 movement value to the number in the corner of that card. So I'm going to be using these cards to move the modules around, hoping to match the pattern shown on my current mission. using that number +1 for any of the sort of patterns that I match when I play the card. And this is quite a bit different than the original Rove if you are familiar with the original Rove, because in that case, the different kinds of movement were based on each module rather than the movement card you were playing. But just like the original Rove, each of these modules also has a once per game ability that it can trigger by flipping over the card of the module. And they are as follows. This one will allow me to add 2 movement points to a single movement card that I've used on a turn. This one will allow me to discard 1 movement card and draw 2 more movement cards from the deck. This one allows me to ignore one of the current mission's modules, and what that means is, as I mentioned before, here I need brains and tools. I could pretend that one of these could be any card possible and then just fill those in, only needing to match one of the symbols on the card. This one here lets me reposition a spent module, that means one that has already been flipped over, to be adjacent to something that is unspent. This one here lets me swap any 2 modules that are adjacent to each other, which actually might not be a bad way to start this game here because I want those in the opposite arrangement, but we'll talk about that in a second. And this one here allows me to place an adjacent module, means any of these 3 at this current moment, anywhere that I want to in a valid position. And this is important because when moving, what a valid position means is that all of my modules must always remain connected after every step of every move. Now, if it's one of the moves that moves as far as it wants to in one direction, in between, it doesn't matter where it is. But if it's, say, for example, a movement like this, where each step is 1 space, at each step of that movement, I will need to check to make sure everything is still connected. This can never be split into 2 things. And also, I can never end a movement point or a movement action on top of another card. So I'm going to use my cards to try and match this mission, and when I do, I will add 1 more mission from the top of this deck over there, and then I will add 1 card to my hand. So each time I clear a mission, I'm going to get 1 more additional card into my hand. And if I'm able to complete 7 missions before running out of cards in my hand, I will have successfully completed the game. All right, so again, looking at what I've got here, I've got this shape plus that one. If I can slide this one over and this one over and swap those 2, I will have solved that puzzle, which means it might be a mistake to do this so early in the game, but I'm going to flip this one right away to swap 2 modules that are adjacent to each other, swapping those 2. Because then all I need to do is move this card here and this card here. Takes me 2 points of any movement, but I'd like to save this jumpy one. And I see that either one of these is fine because after this movement, these won't be adjacent, so I'm ruining one anyway. So let's do that. Gives me 3 points of movement, but I don't need it. 1 goes there, 1 goes there, that's 2, and I finished that pattern. This zigzag plus brain and tools, that is finished. So then we add our next mission here, the peak mission. So I need tool and this blue one, and then a group of 4 up like that. Let's see here. This one needs to come here, in which case this goes here, right? Yeah. Pink goes up and this goes down. So I need 3 plus something else. This one goes 1, 2. All right. Let's do that. I'm going to play the, oh wait, hold on. Before I do that, I get 1 more card for having beat that mission. Then I will play that 3 to move this card down 1, then diagonal 2 like that. I have 1 movement left. I will do 3 like that. Then using this 2 jumpy as far as I want to go abilities, this one moves over this way as far as it wants to for 1 action. And this one again moves up as far as it wants to go for that action. And here we've got our group of 4 with the purple and the light blue matching our mission. Succeeds again. Our next mission is this one here, push, which is orange, and then the dark blue, no, the green one, and then a line of 4. Well, I've got the orange and green and 2 right underneath it already. So that's looking pretty darn good for me. So I get another card. The problem here is we've got lots of pushy ones and I don't want to push. Ooh, but I do actually. Yeah, this is actually going to work out nicely. I need 1, 2, yeah, any of these will work. So let's pick one that's not next to things. Green and purple are adjacent, so save it. Blue and orange are adjacent, save it. Pink and blue are not and won't be. So I'm going to use this 4. And this is pushing. So I'm going to push down 1, like that. Get these out of the way. Push 1 over like that. For 2. And then this one comes down like that is 3. And we do now have the pattern. Orange and green, like that. And then 4 across the bottom. And that mission has been completed. Our next mission is descend. Descend is going to be a little bit trickier, but let's see what we've got. Then I've got to make it so that this green and then 2 more. So green comes here, but it can't yet. Green, something, 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 pink, something. We're probably going to use some kind of special power, but let's see what happens. If purple goes, hold on, if this one goes, place an adjacent module in any valid position, there. Pink, that goes there. Means green needs to be there. Purple goes there. Blue's the problem. All right, I'm going to try this. Flipping the brain, place an adjacent module in any valid position. So I'm going to take this blue card here and put it over this side like that. Which means green needs to be way over here. Then I need 2 cards there. Wait a minute, is that okay though? Everything has to move if I do that. That's not okay. Forget that. That's too much. In fact, we might be better off if we push 1, 2, 3, green goes up, and then 1, 2, push. We're gonna run a lot of cards to do that, but let's see. Blue and orange are not next to each other. Green and purple are. So if I play that, I get 5 points. So 1, 2, 3. Like that. 4, 5. I flip this for 2 more movement. 6, 7 like that. And then I have to ignore one of the current modules because pink is in the wrong place, but that satisfies the mission ignoring 1. All right, then the next mission is ping. Ping looks like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is number 5. 3 more to go. And that's good with that, except I don't like that one there. This moves over, this moves up. Hold on, I get a card. When we're out of cards, the discard flips over as is and becomes the new deck. I get 1 card. Then purple goes over, this goes up. I can't do that. Hold on. If we push though, no, the problem is I need to switch things. And I don't want to do that because I can move. Swapping is not easy. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. What do I have left? Discard a movement and draw. Place an adjacent module in any valid position. I might need that. Blue and orange are not next to each other, but I think I need to push anyway. Because I'm going to do this. Play that. We do 1 like this. 2 like this. 3 like this. Oh yeah, but if we stop there, that's the end of my movement. I can't activate a module in the middle of a movement, but if I say that's the end of my movement, I can then flip this to place this one right there like that. And that is that pattern. These two are in the right place and we've made the right shape. So we're done with that. Next mission, number 6, is the collect mission. And I don't hate what I'm seeing, because blue and orange is these two. If I move that over, those two are in the right place. In which case, this is in the right place. This comes down. And I have to figure out how to get this one where that one was. No. This one goes there, that one goes way up there. Flipping over one more card from my hand. This is going to be interesting. Oh, actually, 1, 2, 3. It's going to be a waste of a movement, though. This is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 I need. Oh, but I can use this. All right, I'm going to start here. Reposition a spent module to be adjacent to an unspent one. So if I do that, I can reposition that to be here, because that's still adjacent to an unspent module. And that's still one piece. These two are adjacent to each other, so I get the +1 movement on this card here, so that's 4. Which means 1, 2, 3. Still connected, they're just badly placed. And 4, like that. And if I have it correct, I'm pretty sure that's the blue and the orange. This is an L, this is an upside down L. That finishes my 6th mission. My final mission for this playthrough is this one here, Shelter. Blue, pink. Let's see what we can do. Is that still on the screen? Not really. Let me scoot everything up just a tad. All right, like that. Then, this pink has to be here. Hold on, I get a card. This pink has to be here. This green is something here. This, that's fine. So this one has to go all the way up there. All right, that's not hard. Purple has to go there, like that. Pink has to be here, and green has to move over. Yeah, we've done it. That's easy. Okay, so purple and orange are next to each other. So I played that one, which means I get 3 as long as I'd like to move in any direction. So, first things first, we got this purple goes up 1. Next, pink is going to go 1 diagonal and 1 down. Like that. That's 2, 3. we're done with that. But it doesn't matter which movement I use. Let's use that one like that. This moves over 1. Like that, I've got blue-pink, I've got the 4-flower and the little top like that. And I've successfully gone down with my rover 7 missions down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I have managed to win the game on the hard difficulty level. Now, at this point is usually when I like to show you the components of games, but again, this is a prototype for an upcoming game. This is Button Shy. These are prototype cards. The artwork seems to be pretty much done for what it is because it looks a lot like the old Rove game. The card quality is prototype quality. I can't say anything about it, but again, Button Shy has very wonderful linen finished cards in all of their games, and I don't expect that to change at any point. The iconography here, very easy to understand, very clear how many movement points you get, what kind of movement you get, what you need to do to get the bonus. Let me show you some more. You've seen all of these cards out on the table. Let me show you the other missions you haven't seen yet. Here's Ride, Observe, Evade, Anchor, and Struggle. And again, I'm going to say yay, 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 and more yay for the artwork in this game. Huge fan of the original Rove artwork. Even more of a fan of the Rove Junior artwork if you watched my video from last week. And now again, huge fan of the Aqua ROVE artwork. This looks very, very connected. It's absolutely the same style of artwork as the original Rove, except the color palette has shifted. It used to be this sort of light pink, magenta, purpley kind of color scheme, and now it's shifted towards the blues and indigos and kind of darker purple color scheme, and it looks just as cool as the other one. I love the design of Rove and the world that he lives in. I love the idea now that this is going vertically as they're descending down into the depths of the aqua world that it's exploring. Still very much love how this sort of tells a story and builds this connected picture of everything that the rover has been doing through its story, just like I did with the original Rove. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. The only other thing that I do like to take a look at here is the wallet for these games. Again, this is a prototype, so I don't have the wallet, but I will again throw the picture up right here on the screen. And I have to say, another wallet that I really, really do love. The original Rove wallet looked great. Very nice sort of reddish Mars kind of color with a really nice typeface font with the O is sort of like a planet. And I really love what they did this time. Again, sticking with the water blue theme, very blue wallet. And now instead of the O being a planet, it looks kind of like a bubble of air underwater. Really, really cool. Still fits the sort of font and typeface very well. I'm a big fan of this wallet. I'm a big fan of the art. I'm a big fan of the way this game looks. Now let me back up top and I'll let you know if I'm a big fan of how the game plays as well. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. Well, what can I say? Dustin and Milan have done it again. I continue to be a big fan of both of these designers, particularly when they're working with Button Shy on these games. Rove was previously my favorite Button Shy game of all time, at least I think so, but probably so. And I really was impressed with what they did with Rove Junior for sort of the kid and family market. If you haven't checked out my video last week, please go ahead and do so if you're interested in a sort of lighter version of this game. But as I said, Rove was my previous, probably best #1 Button Shy game of all time. I think Aqua ROVE is now taking that place. If you liked Rove before, you're gonna like Aqua ROVE. It's just a twist on the same system. If you didn't play Rove before, there's no need that you need to have played Rove before you play this one, because it is pretty much the same concept, the same kind of game, just with a different sort of twist about how it works. And basically the difference here is that in the original Rove game, each of the different modules or the different sort of cards that you're moving around in your tableau had their own unique movement rules, that you would play a card that basically just gave you movement points. And then you had to find a way to figure out how to move all of the different kinds of things as they moved around the table in different ways to match patterns. Well, here you're still moving the modules, you're still trying to match those patterns, except now the modules don't have any unique movement rules themselves aside from the abilities that they all have, which they also had in the previous game, except now the rules of movement are based on the cards that you're playing, which means that if you have a card that lets you move as far as you want to for one move in one direction, you can do that with any of the modules. If you have a card that lets you move in any direction one space, you can do that with any of the modules. If you have a card that lets you push other modules as you move left or right or up and down one space, you can do that with any of the modules. So now the point is not trying to figure out how to use each module to the best of its ability, but instead how to use these movement cards to the best of their ability to move these cards around to match the missions. And I have to say I enjoy this quite a bit more than the original for the most part. They're both unique experiences in that they both give me different feelings. The original game is going to be a whole lot more of a rigid puzzle because each module can only move in one way, and sometimes you have to do weird sort of around the world or move here to move here to move there to move back again kinds of moves with the modules in the original game because of the way that they can only move in specific set ways. Whereas here, at least for me, having the type of movement on the movement card allows me to, at least I feel, a lot more clever with the flexibility that I have. And this might potentially lead to more sort of analysis paralysis for people who like to think about things for a long time before they make a decision. But for me, it's not that it's giving me more options and makes me freeze because I don't know which option to pick. For me, I enjoy the ability to take the flexibility and options and try a bunch of different varieties. Now, instead of moving one thing over here, now I can think about moving everything else around that one thing because everything can move whatever way I want it to, assuming that I have the movement cards that let it move that way. And for me, the flexibility is wonderful. And again, for somebody who has problems focusing or deciding on things, that could lead to some of that analysis paralysis because the decision space has opened quite a bit more. But for me, it feels a lot more intuitive. And more than that, in the original game, each of the cards had a bonus movement point based on if a specific pattern existed around a specific module. So for example, if this module had one card above and one card to the left, then it would be able to get extra movement for that turn, or you would get extra movement action points for that turn. Now it's less about these patterns focused on a specific module, and instead now it's focused on two modules, but those two modules only have to be adjacent to each other. They don't have to be in any kind of special arrangement, just that they have to be next to each other. And that next to each other could also include diagonal. So you've got this huge flexibility of where two cards can be in order to get the bonus on the movement. But now the bonus on the movement used to be potentially a couple of action points. Now you're just getting +1 because it's probably a little bit easier to get it to happen. But now that +1 is more meaningful because that +1 means I can use that kind of movement on any card. And sometimes the difference between 2 and 3 movement or 3 and 4 movement, as you saw in my playthrough, is going to be really important. So it just changes things up. And for me, the flexibility with how this one plays out and the ability to just have two things next to each other means a lot more, or makes a lot more sense to the gears in my brain, at least when I'm trying to solve this puzzle. And in the original game, I very rarely made use of that bonus movement because it was really hard for me to think about sort of mid-turn, one movement card in. How could I use the first movement card to set up that sort of special pattern so that the next movement card I played gave me extra stuff without wasting movement points that I wanted to spend on other things? Or sometimes, how would I make it so that at the end of a previous round, I set myself up so that in the next round I could start with one of those patterns? And I understood how it worked, but it felt like more work than use for me, so I didn't focus on that too much. Whereas in this game, that bonus movement point at the bottom of the card, I do my best as much as possible, as often as possible, to trigger that to give myself that extra movement ability. So there's just something about the style or the way that the game is set up this time that works better with my sort of tactical turn-by-turn kind of brain. Here's the situation I have. Here are the things I can use to do this. And that works really well for me. Whereas in the previous game, it did require a little bit more long-term thinking as to, once I've solved this, then this is set up this way, then I need to use that to set up this way. And I had to plan ahead a little bit more. And I'm generally not the best at planning long-term strategy in this kind of thinky puzzle kind of game. So for me, Aqua ROVE really, really hits the spot. And I'm loving, loving, loving this one. Now, I did pull out the old game to play it just to make sure what I'm saying is the truth. And yes, I still really enjoy the original ROVE, but given the choice to play either of them, this is going to be the one that I'm going to play more often, just because it does fit my sort of brain puzzle a little bit better than the other one. That said, I'm going to hold on to both of these because, or hold on when I do get a final copy of this game, but hold on to both of these because they do still offer a different twist on the puzzle. And ROVE already had a bunch of expansions that did smaller little changes and so on. So it's still, to me, worth having both of these because the way it makes me think is slightly different for both of them. And not only that, I know that ROVE got a bunch of expansions, and now knowing that the core system of Aqua ROVE works even better for me, I can't wait to see what kind of expansions come out for Aqua ROVE. And more importantly, I want to put something up on the screen right now, because this thing right here, this card right here, I have no information about it except that it exists. And just looking at it, I can see that we're going to have to build a tableau from ROVE and then drop down and go down into an Aqua ROVE. I don't know how it connects. Is it just two games connected together? Is there some kind of crossover? I'm very curious to find out more. I love this world. I love the visuals. I love the thinky puzzle of it. I love everything that's happening in ROVE and Aqua ROVE and ROVE Junior. And I just want more and more and more of these kinds of puzzles because they really do connect so well for me. I'm very excited to see the campaign when it launches and see what other kind of secrets and surprises are thrown in there. As always, I will link to the campaign down below so that you can click to the link and check it out when it does go live. This video is going out on a Monday. The campaign should be launching tomorrow if you're watching this as it goes live. I'm very excited. If it looks like something you might be interested in too, I hope that you're excited as well. I hope that this video was helpful for you. And as always, if you did enjoy this video, I do ask that you like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below. And I'll see you all next time. Thanks.